In the news tonight, Fijians wait for national budget. Home deaths cause more panic. And PM once again raises his concerns. Minister for Economy Ayaz Syed Qayyum is expected to lay out the government's plan to deal with the socio-economic effects of COVID-19 when the 2021-2022 budget is announced tonight. Syed Qayyum has previously indicated that social assistance programs will continue. This will likely take the form of continued cash assistance, food ration deliveries and other programs targeted at affected communities and families. Revenue collection from August to last year till May this year was $1.5 billion, while total expenditure amounted to $2.5 billion. This resulted in a net deficit of $1.05 billion. In the business sector, will be particularly interested in policies which will support enterprises to get back on their feet and begin a move towards normalcy. The Health Ministry is likely to receive a large chunk of government funding to continue its efforts to curb the spread of COVID-19 over the next 12 months. The budget announcement will be carried out live on FBC TV right after this bulletin. The Ministry of Health says it's saddening to see people with severe COVID-19 dying at home or presenting themselves to health facilities in the late stages of severe illness and dying within a day or two. Permanent Secretary for Health Dr. James Fong says it is difficult to allocate resources if people reach out at the last minute. Dr. Fong says there is huge resistance of seeking care in the Itauke community, and this is concerning since we have now hit the over 1,000 mark in daily infections. Kritika Kumar reports.
More severe COVID-19 patients are dying at home or visiting a medical facility in the late stages and dying within a day or two.
In the Itauke community, it is a terrible problem. There is a huge resistance to seeking care until we really right at the edge of the table, and then we jump over. There is a lot of reliance on other means of treatment.
The Permanent Secretary says the awareness of the severe symptoms is vital.
Once the people start getting chest pain, once they start getting a bit of shortness of breath, they need to call. We need to be given a couple of hours to move and retrieve.
Meanwhile, the Minister for Health has called on Fijians to be responsible.
Important that all of us need to do our part, need to follow the public health safe protocols that are in place, and also be vaccinated and enable and advocate for vaccination wherever we can. Yeah.
Dr. Fong says there are possibilities of an increase in people with COVID-19 requiring hospitalization and more deaths. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
Hours before news of 1,220 new infections yesterday, the Prime Minister urged Fijians to listen to advice from health professionals and to follow them. Vorangam Bainimarama says all the COVID-safe measures, if applied by everyone, will bring down infections. And as Fijians reel from the new record cases, the Health Ministry isn't ready to project when we will see a drop in infections. Edwin Nunn reports full vaccination may take another 4 months.
The news of more than 1,000 cases in 24 hours has sent shockwaves across Fiji, but the Prime Minister says this could have been avoided.
People are not following these protocols, and that is the reason why the numbers is increasing. We need to follow the protocols. That's the next best thing to lockdown, is to follow the protocols. Then and only then we will cut the numbers down.
For health workers, saving lives and treating the severely ill has taken priority over the spike in daily cases.
Whilst everybody is looking at the number of cases, it is important to actually also keep an eye on our hospitalization rate. And that's the one that is of greater concern to us.
Dr. Fong says it's difficult to say when infections will decrease because it's entirely dependent on how quickly people can be vaccinated.
We should be able to get everybody with the first dose around late August, early September, and the second dose will follow straight after that. And all our predictions were that at the latest around November we have got everybody vaccinated.
74 people have now died from COVID-19, and the Health Ministry is adamant that vaccination is our best hope. Edwin Nang, FBC News.
And to our latest COVID-19 update, Fiji recorded 1,220 new COVID-19 infections for the period ending at 8 a.m. yesterday. The Health Ministry has recorded 5 deaths between July 10th to the 13th. Fiji has recorded 13,816 cases since April of this year. There are now 11,033 active cases in isolation, with 2,680 recoveries in total. The COVID-19 death toll now stands at 74. The vaccination campaign also continues around the country, and as of this afternoon, 384,480 individuals, or 65.5% of the population, has received the first dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine. 75,448, or 12.9%, have received their second dose. The 5 most vaccinated areas include Mba, Nandi, the Nandronga Naitasiri provinces, and Nausori. Up ahead, Ministry to pull the plug on mobile teams, and Suva now moves to drive-through swabbing. The Ministry of Health will soon pull back the mobile screening teams going out in areas for COVID-19 screening and swabbing. Permanent Secretary for Health Dr. James Fong says this is a difficult area for them to sustain. Kritika Kumar reports.
The Permanent Secretary says pulling out means that more stationary screening clinics need to be set up.
It does mean a lot more driving places. It means that we have to set up more screening clinics, and we have to pull back the mobile teams that were going out to do screening. We have to stop them, because that now becomes a difficult area to sustain. We need HR doing care of positive people.
The health authorities are now turning their attention to addressing the severe impacts of the second wave of COVID-19.
Because when we hit the mitigation phase, you're supposed to scale back the testing on contacts and move towards testing towards looking for positive people. So that's a difficult one for some of our medical people to catch, because
Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama says battling COVID-19 feels more like a war that needs to be won.
And like a war, it requires us to be totally committed to victory. And we are totally committed. It is a war that we intend to win. It is a war we must win.
The ministry is expecting the number of cases to rise as they are testing in areas where they know the virus is spreading. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
A single jab of the AstraZeneca vaccine is not enough to prevent hospitalization and death. People have begun to question vaccination, as many of the deceased had received their first dose. Permanent Secretary for Health Dr. James Fong says 2 doses are vital to increase protection against COVID-19.
the first dose only gives you a 30% protection from hospitalization. 30%. So 30%. That's not the 92% that you get with the second dose. That's the first thing for everybody to keep repeating to themselves. I only got 30% protection. I must get my second dose.
People that need to get swabbed can now have it done at the Suva Clinic Center, as a drive-through swabbing has been set there. This has been organized by the Suva City Council. The Suva City Council Board of Special Administration, Isikeli Tikondondua, says that there has been a huge demand for this. He adds that this is a safe way of being swabbed, as there is not much interaction. Coming up in world news, WHO wants more from China. And later in sports, Australian athletes face COVID issues. the Fiji Development Bank has appointed Saud Minam as its chief executive effective today. Minam was formerly CEO of ANZ Fiji and head of commercial banking Pacific and has 25 years of local and international banking experience. The FDB board says an immediate priority for Minam and the team will be to continue supporting the bank's 3,753 MSME clients through the pandemic-induced challenges. Minister for Economy Ayaz Syed Qayyum, while welcoming Minam's appointment, says FDB will benefit from his leadership and deep engagement approach. Speaking with the FBC News, Saud Minam says that he feels privileged to be part of the team, that he will do his best in accordance to the expectations.
It's an honor and privilege for me to be leading this organization. Something which I've always thought that yes, I may be able to do bring my experience to the organization, and the board has accepted and trusted my abilities to deliver. So rest assured, I'll do my level best.
The adoption of technology is no longer an option but an imperative as the COVID crisis continues to affect economies around the world. Speaking at the virtual ACP Trade Ministers meeting, Trade and Commerce Minister Fayaz Koya highlighted that amid slowing economic activity, COVID-19 has led to a surge in e-commerce and accelerated digital transformation globally. He says as lockdowns become the new normal, businesses and consumers increasingly went digital, buying and selling goods and services online. The minister adds in Fiji's case, many companies have heeded the call to evolve their business models and overcome the disruptions caused by the pandemic. Koya says this digital transition will have lasting impacts in our lives and ensure businesses continue in future despite disruptions. Here are the local exchange rates as set early this morning. The Fiji dollar took a different turn today as it rose against our two major trading partners, the Aussie and Kiwi dollars, but lost ground against the Chinese yuan, US greenback, PNG kina, euro and the Japanese yen. Prices were mixed on the commodities market as crude oil dropped again to close at $71 a barrel. Gold rose to a few dollars at $1,830 per ounce, and silver was up at $26 to $43 an ounce. Time to join Shoran for the very latest happenings of the days.
Good evening. The New Zealand dollar was the biggest mover amongst majors in morning trade today. The Kiwi dollar jumped after a red-hot inflation reading fueled speculation that interest rates in New Zealand could rise as early as next month, scorching the bond market. New Zealand Consumer Prices Index jumped 1.3% in the quarter to lift annual inflation to 3.3% from 1.5% in the first quarter. Both were the highest reading in a decade and well above market forecast. In reaction to the strong inflation numbers, the Kiwi dollar was last up 0.4%. On the other hand, the Aussie dollar slid to a near 6-month low, partly because of Reserve Bank of Australia's recent restatement that it was unlikely to raise interest rates until 2024. The Aussie dollar had shed about 0.9% for the week so far. Meanwhile, the US dollar was generally steady but headed for its best weekly gain in about a month. Mixed concerns over the US Federal Reserve's tapering plans, virus outbreaks and stimulus plans all seem to have troubled the marketplace. And that's all from your HFC Bank for this week. Stay safe.
Around 87 youth of Nassau Singatoka will benefit from the farming equipment given by the Ministry of Youth. The equipment was worth over $2,000 and was handed over to the Tili Valevu and Vunatovau youth groups by Minister Parveen Kumar under the ministry's Youth Farm Initiative Assistance Program. Kumar urged youth representatives to continue motivating their members on the importance of farming. Kumar also reminded the group representatives to encourage their members to get vaccinated as it is the only way forward.
And that is why I'm here in person to talk to you so that you can take this message to your youth in your respective areas and tell them that why it is so important for you as a youth to carry on what your elders have done.
Coming up after the break, former resident assists Nawaka. Fiji continues to lead in the global fight against climate change through its commitment to reducing carbon emissions from deforestation and forest degradation. A raft of forest and land restoration activities are being planned for 20 districts in Viti Levu, Vanua Levu and Taveuni. These include the development of district land use plans, climate-smart agriculture and participation of smallholder farmers in sustainable forest management. Forestry Permanent Secretary Pene Mbale Nambuli says the emissions reduction program will elevate Fiji's agenda for forests and help empower and build climate-resilient communities. A former resident of Nawaka, Nandi, who is now living in Australia, has decided to give back to his community. 75-year-old Pyara Singh donated around $15,000 in an effort to assist families in Nawaka who are struggling due to the pandemic. Felipe Naikaso has more.
$200 food ration packs were distributed to Nawaka families who have yet to be assisted despite having no source of income.
We really appreciate for what they have done for us in these hard times. He is the main guy who's supporting us always, if anything here in cultural or religion thing. And now in this hard time, he also supported us.
Handing out the rations on behalf of Pyara Singh, Nawaka resident Mufti Zain says it's a timely assistance. It was also a special occasion for the donor back in Australia.
Today he turns 75 years of his age and it's birthday, 15th of July. On behalf of our community and all those who are the recipients of today's food packs, we congratulate Mr. Singh.
Mr. Singh has always looked after us here in Nawaka and we are grateful for his continuous assistance. This means a lot to many families.
The Bilal youth group that were giving out the rations have also assisted more than 5,000 families in the Western Division. Felipe Naikaso, FBC News.
Ahead in sports, special moment for Nakarawa. And Vakasama to swim with the best. This and more coming up. Leading the Flying Fijians tomorrow against the All Blacks will be quite special for Leone Nakarawa. The man known as the Octopus says it's not easy taking over the captain's role from Levani Mbotia, who led from the front in the first test. Nakarawa says it's always an honor to play for Fiji, but to be chosen as captain comes with responsibilities because the team will be looking to him for guidance.
I think it comes with a responsibility, and I think I have to lead by example, and there's a lot of young boys as well in the team. But they've been filling the big shoes really well, and we're all looking forward for the game. Like I said, it's not only me playing; it's the 23s going to play tomorrow, so it's a team game tomorrow.
While many are happy with how the Flying Fijians played against the All Blacks, the national coach Vern Cotter believes the side was nowhere near their best. Tomorrow's second test is vital in the long run for Fiji, according to Cotter. Aquila Dama with the details.
It's not quite the finished product, so now the challenge is to last the full 80 minutes and let the opposition work for their points instead of being given to them.
Because we led in those soft tries, that we've had a good look at how we can defend, and obviously the All Blacks have a more powerful pack this weekend, and they will apply pressure. So it's up to us to get our heads up and make sure that we defend our line with courage and passion.
Cotter is also being realistic about their chances against the three-time world champions.
We got 57 points scored against us. We felt that we scored 3 tries, and normally when you score 3 tries against any opposition, you should be close to winning.
The All Blacks have named Adi Saver at flanker, which means there is going to be a real battle at the breakdown with Peveliato and Johnny Dyer in the mix.
Oh, pretty much the whole team's, pretty powerful and strong, but I back my boys too, and our boys that are powerful as well. So it should be a good test match this week.
Fiji takes on the All Blacks at 7:05 p.m. tomorrow. Aquila Dama, FBC Sports.
The All Blacks have made 9 changes for the match against Fiji, and there is one area in particular that they have been working on. This is shown with the naming of Adi Saver and Akira Ioane for the encounter. As the world's best athletes descend onto Tokyo for the Olympics, some of Australia's athletes can't even cross their borders, let alone leave their country. 8 track and field members are trapped in the lockdown in New South Wales. Team Fiji swimmer Taichi Vakasama is all set for the Tokyo Olympic Games, which start next Friday. Speaking from Oita, Japan to FBC Sports, Vakasama says the years of commitment and sacrifice will now be put to the test.
It's a dream come true for Vakasama, and now he's just days away before competing with the world's best.
There are many competitors that I'm looking forward to race against. For example, a world record holder, a top leader, the second top leader for this year. And in particular, I'm looking forward to race against Ryan Meskelin from PNG.
His preparations leading up to the games was affected, as he had no proper training facility for a month.
But the biggest challenge I've faced so far is the COVID outbreak. Specifically, the second COVID outbreak. Since it's closer to the Olympic Games, it has affected it the most, more than the first COVID outbreak.
Vasanok Chief Executive Lorraine Ma says athletes like Vakasama are an inspiration.
Been, any complaints in terms of people not feeling well, people not happy, and right from the word go, all the athletes, all the teams were able to. The very next day we arrived in Oita, they were able to go to their training venues.
The Olympic Games starts next Friday in Japan. Aquila Dama, FBC Sports.
The 2021 Rugby League World Cup will go ahead as scheduled. There were fears that the tournament would be called off due to COVID-19 in the United Kingdom. However, tournament organizers have today confirmed that the event will be held in October and November 2021. This means the Fiji Mbati will carry on with its preparations for the tournament.
We are prepared to take unprecedented measures, with player safety as our #1 priority. In particular, we will charter return flights for the athletes coming from the Southern Hemisphere.
Former champion leads the Open by 1 stroke after posting a brilliant bogey-free 6 under par on the opening day. The 2010 winner salvaged par on the 18th to set the early pace as the Kent venue welcomed the return of fans with up to 32,000 allowed each day. A second-half fight back from the British and Irish Lions fell just short at Cape Town Stadium as South Africa A handed Warren Gatland's men their first defeat of the tour this week. And this try set up by Springbok star Cheslin Kolbe makes our play of the day. That's it from sports tonight, and coming up in the world of the weird and the wonderful, we'll tell you about Mosquito Man. A weakening trough of low pressure lies over the eastern parts of the group and is gradually moving east. Associated clouds and showers will affect parts of the country. In the west, fine weather apart from isolated afternoon and evening showers, and eastwards from Pacific Harbour to Suva, it was mostly windy and cloudy with some showers. Looking up north, cloudy periods with some scattered showers, and out at sea, moderate to fresh easterly winds with rough seas. Turning to the tides, the next high tide is at 11:40 p.m. with the next low tide scheduled for 5:50 a.m. tomorrow morning. Sunrise will be at 6:38 a.m. For tomorrow, fine weather apart from afternoon and evening showers, and the outlook for Sunday is cloudy periods with brief showers over the eastern parts and interior of the larger islands. Cool nights. And on to our shot of the day. This beautiful sunset was captured by Alani Vermbasanga in Vunivaivai, Nakelo in Tailevu. In the world of the weird and the wonderful, in addition to conducting research on mosquito traits and their lifespans, the job of the Mosquito Man as an experimental biologist includes sticking his arm inside mosquito cages and letting them bite him for 10 seconds. His biggest haul was 15,000 mosquito bites. This now recapping our main stories today. Fijians wait for the national budget. Home deaths cause more panic. And Fiji and the All Blacks gear up for tomorrow. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. To our poll question, this week we're asking, do you agree with the no jab, no job policy? Visit our website to take part. Send us newsworthy pictures and videos by emailing fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our various social media accounts. You can also download our FBC app to keep updated with the very latest news and sports and listen to our 6 radio stations live. That's your news this evening, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Modamanda, and stay safe.